Hi, my name is Marianne Choi, and I'm going to analyze two films in order to answer my research question. How is sexuality crisis portrayed in coming-of-age films from different cultural contexts? The film focus of my presentation is a subgenre of coming-of-age films, which is categorized under drama. This subgenre deals with character growth as the character matures by either confronting the challenges or at least learning a lesson out of their adversities. The two films that I've selected is Moonlight and Departure. Moonlight was directed by the American director Barry Jenkins and was released in 2016. It tells the story of a young black man named Sharon who continuously faces snide jeers and insensitive comments about his sexuality along with family issues. The plot is set in Liberty City, Miami, where the vast majority of the community is comprised of black people. Such social setting lets Moonlight stand strong as a cinematic piece that is more than just an LGBTQ story. The commonly represented aspects by stereotypical black neighborhoods such as violence, drugs, and poverty play a part in Chiron's future concession of molding himself into the traditional frame of masculinity. On the other hand, Departure was directed by the British director Andrew Steggall and was released in 2015. It's in the village of southern France where Elliot awkwardly grapples with a sensual hodgepodge of sexuality crisis and mother-son crisis as he burgeons into mature adolescence. The place is almost barren of people. In fact, the movie is solely enacted only by five. Elliot, Elliot's love interest Clement, Elliot's mother Beatrice, Elliot's father, and Beatrice's neighbor. Such social setting allows the difficulties that Elliot faces in his sexual awakening to be more associated with his internal state of mind, which enables character development to be observed in its ripest and fullest form. Now I'll move on to my arguments to compare and contrast how water and mother-son relationship is used in these coming-of-age films in order to portray sexuality crisis. Water is an important component in the film Moonlight. The most noteworthy scene is where Juan teaches Sharon how to swim. The scene reaches its culmination when Juan cradles Sharon's head tenderly in his arms as he teaches Sharon how to float in the water. A mid-close-up that submerges up and down in the water shows both people filling the screen, which gives out the impression that it's only the two of them that are present in such moment of spiritual connection. The fatherly figure Juan teaching Sharon how to swim, how to navigate himself in such dangerous waters, how to protect his homosexual identity against the homophobic society feels freeing. The natural waves of water hugs their curves as it gradually engulfs them, and the sky is high and saturated. However, an uneasy ambience is established by intimidating violin strings muffling up the dialogue that they share. The paradoxical visual and auditory harmony gives out the message that Sharon will inevitably face more menacing threats whilst freeing himself of burdens that suppress his sexual identity. Dualistic symbolism is used in the ending of the film as well. After Sharon confesses that he is still the delicate gay child inside a hardened mask of bulky muscles, piercings, and grills by saying he hasn't really touched anyone since their sexual experience back years ago, a flashback of young Sharon looking straight ahead into the crashing waves of water is shown. A back of the headshot is used to depict the sense of alienation that would have accompanied Sharon for years after giving in to traditional masculinity. Camera panning closes up on Sharon, and he looks back. This is Sharon reconsidering the choice that he has made, implying that Sharon may now start over and pursue his identity no matter how painful the taunting may be. Water is used as a metaphor in Departure as well. The mysterious shot of Elliot sinking peacefully in a large body of water is inserted here and there throughout the whole film. There's one in the opening scene, one used as a transition between scenes, and one in the ending scene. Its meaning is illustrated when Elliot engages in a conversation with a retired actor at a cafe, and he explains the plot of the play that he's writing. It's about a lonely, bodiless soul. It wistfully longs for a physical body to become fully human. One wish that the soul has is to feel water run through its fingers. It's Elliot's inner ego that's projected into this play. Although the society that Elliot lives in is not particularly homophobic, judging from the fact that Elliot and Clement discuss homosexuality freely, he's hidden the fact that he's gay from his mother for 16 years. This is why Elliot does not feel fully human. To trust the current of water with his body is to trust people with the most intimate secret of his identity. This idea is further expanded when Elliot has his first sexual experience with Clement. They're stranded in a single boat that's floating on a reservoir. It's on top of water that will free Elliot of suppression, where Elliot touches Clement sensually. The scene is comprised of close-ups of both people, but they are not shown together. This signifies that although in literal terms they are together, each person is perceiving the experience differently. Clement is already wet from diving in water, meaning that he was always a free soul with no constraints imposed onto him. Homosexual experimenting is not something that is out of Clement's comfort zone.
mise-en-scene kicks in as Clement is positioned to lie down with his eyes closed. Clement's focus is the physical pleasure contrived from unusual deviation. On the other hand, Elliot has his eyes wide open and focused, as if to shout out that the act that he's participating in is a result of a conscious decision. Although the afternoon plays a great part in the confirmation of Elliot's sexual preference, he's not fully internally free, because he hasn't dived in the water yet. It's only at the end of the film, when Elliot runs back to the reservoir at the middle of the night and truly feels the water ravel his body. Everything is played in slow motion to really emphasize the moment when Elliot feels the water and becomes fully human. Water represents the reincarnation of Elliot, as he's now free to reveal himself to the world as a result of his victory over his inner apprehension and fear. Mother-son relationship is also vital in portraying the significance of sexuality in different social contexts. In Moonlight, Paula is an unstable character who is torn between her maternal affection for her son and her irresistible addiction to drugs. A certain scene is used to show how Sharon really perceives her mother. He stands glumly in a white shirt with freshly folded laundry, a refrigerator with colorful magnets, and a dimly lit lamp behind him. These carefully positioned objects and meticulously arranged beige color palette resemble home. On the opposite side of Sharon stands Paula with a devil red shirt under a light of magenta hue. The sharp color contrast and the positioning of Paula indicate that Sharon's mom is threatening to Sharon's concept of home. The dialogue is muted, so Paula's yelling is undecipherable. All that matters is that Paula's actions arouse a conflicted desire within Sharon. He needs love from the very person that has taught him hate. Then, in slow motion, Paula walks into the room that is the source of the magenta light, and the door closes. The slurred motion makes the scene more dramatic and therefore implies that this is a memory that has a great impact in scarring Sharon's childhood. In Chapter 3, Black, Sharon visits his mother to forgive her for all the neglecting care. Sharon and Paula are both dressed in blue hues, which is in synchronization with the blue chairs and blue buildings in the background. This color palette implies a reconciliation of mother-son relationship, as blue is the color of Juan, the fatherly figure of Sharon's childhood. Paula has not been supportive of Sharon's sexuality even before Sharon could comprehend the concept of homosexuality. By this intimate scene that ends the mother and son hugging onto each other affectionately, Sharon forgives his mother, although he knows that his mother cannot compensate by giving him the security that he needed 10 years ago. Sharon now fully accepts the damage that his mother did to him. This implies that the damage that the homophobic society of Liberty City has done to him is now part of his identity as well. On the other hand, Elliot's sexuality allows reconciliation between him and his mother. Elliot's mother, Beatrice, proves to be more of a motherly figure. However, her presence is all the same detrimental for Elliot's blooming adolescence, as she treats her son like a young child. Numerous times does she order Elliot to wash his hands in a strict tone and scolds him for not sticking to schedule.
What are you looking at? Nothing. Wash your hands.
What's worse is that she completely cuts off her son when she is mentally afflicted. It's almost as if Elliot is a 7-year-old, incapable of autonomous thinking and humanly emotion. However, Elliot persists to be the good boy that listens to his mother even during the breakout of messy fights between his surprisingly known to be gay father and distressed mother. The conflict between the mother and son only materializes when Elliot catches on the affair between his mother and his love interest, Clement. Beatrice also realizes her son is homosexual. The quarrel is taken with a handheld shot, which is appropriate in depicting heightened tension. There's an awful lot of blue in the walls, bed covers, and character costumes. Blue symbolizes free water, and therefore this blue-toned conflict is when the two people genuinely reveal what is going on in their minds. The conflict between these two people is resolved when Elliot returns after a deep dive in the water. This is an act that physically represents Elliot finally identifying himself as a human, as he feels the currents of water with every surface of his body. His mother is still waiting for her little son, regardless of all the convoluted situations that they have been through. Elliot realizes that the departure from his happy childhood with supporting and loving parents does not mean an end to his life, but a new start with a mother who now knows how to love Elliot and herself as who they are. The sexuality crisis and departure is not a matter of acceptance by society, but rather signifies a portion of Elliot's identity that he refused to even share with his mother. Therefore, in social contexts that are not generally homophobic, one's sharing of his or her homosexual identity is perceived as an act that brings on intimacy. In conclusion, sexuality crisis is portrayed differently in Moonlight and Departure. Most coming-of-age films have protagonists that fight against hard realities that are actually felt by the audiences. The commonly depicted adversities are generally universal, but then Moonlight and Departure
But then Moonlight and Departure reach out to the minorities and explicitly discuss deepest and darkest struggles of being a queer teen, something that was considered a taboo until now. Moonlight acknowledges how hard it is to accept oneself's queer identity within an oppressing society. On the other hand, Departure deals with the intimidation of letting go of the past and pushing yourself forward to new circumstances by exposing yourself bare to the people around you. Whatsoever, it's sure that both films portray a common message.
How did you get so big?
Incrementally.